Okay, now tonight has been billed as Leon Rosselson's New York stop on his final tour of North America. In fact, this is his last American stop. He plays Toronto and then he flies home. I think we're lucky to be here. His songs are teeming with colorful characters, wonderfully descriptive passages, and witty observations. That was the Washington Post. The New York Times says his work is some of the most literate and well-made songs now being written. These are nice words. These are great flattering words for a songwriter to hear, but if you ask Leon, what he would tell you is that that's not it. The song is the thing. And great songs continue to be his thing. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you Mr. Leon Rosselson.
Thank you for coming out to this holiday evening to hear me in my last American concert. I know people have pointed out to me that this is the third Farewell America tour I've done. It's like a manifesto. You don't expect them to be kept doing manifesto commitments. Anyway, this is definitely the last one, and this is the final one. Rosemary is wagging his finger, Carl Knox is scratching his head. They ought to be shooting the bankers, but they're giving them money instead. The plebs should be storming the ramparts and wetting the guillotine's blades, singing capitalism's in crisis, so where are the barricades? Why don't they close down the city and throw all the gamblers in jail? But they're still making money, and they slice up the future for sale. And so Lonsdale's still hugging his bonus. Lord Granville's made off with the loot. And the Slick City traders, the corporate raiders, freebooters and fraudsters, hedge fund speculators, the stock market scammers, brain-dead regulators, why aren't they all getting the loot? See how the bubbles are bursting, all that's solid melts into air. The stairs are beginning to rattle, and the rats are beginning to stare. There are cracks in the walls and the ceiling, and smoke's pouring out the front door. But the creme de la creme are all betting that the flames never reach the top floor. They tell us that cuts are essential to keep this rust bucket afloat. But nobody seems to be asking, why don't they just scupper the boat? They say we're all in this together, just like we were in the war. And in time the wheels will start turning again, and it'll carry on as before. At last I see workers protesting, but there isn't a red flag in sight. And where are the banners proclaiming, workers of the world must unite? Do they call for the heads of the bosses, sing for capitalism's last days, or is it British jobs for British workers? What nincompoop thought up that phrase? We're pissed off of course and we're angry, but revolution is not really us. Give us football and Strictly Come Dancing, and we won't make too much of a fuss. Give us someone to trust and to lead us, who knows the way out of this maze, so we can go on consuming forever, or at least till the end of our days. Rosemary's smart in his pinstripe suit, Carl Knox looks cool in his shades. Yes, capitalism's in crisis, my dear, but where are the barricades? But where are the barricades? When I wrote this song, actually, I think Britain was the only country in Europe where there had been no demonstrations. against the cuts. And since then, there have been. And I'd like to think those two things are connected, but probably not. There have been. There was a big 500,000 people marched in March against the cuts. There have been students and school children on the streets against the raising of tuition fees, cutting of education allowances. And there's an interesting group called UK Uncut, which targets companies that avoid paying tax. It's reckoned that something like £120 billion are lost in tax revenues, which will certainly pay off the deficit. It's a story set in London. My heart was cold as midnight. My mind was worry-worn as I wandered through the city where William Blake was born, past huddled shapes in doorways and towers made of glass. Then an old man came towards me and he would not let me pass. The years had withered in his face. Was he drunk or in despair? He led me to a silent street. Said, you see that waste ground there? I never should have locked it down. If only we'd known how. We could have stopped them doing it. I said, it's too late now. He said Harry could have done it, because he could put right every wrong. He could turn sighs into silence, he could turn silence into song, he could turn frowns into laughter, he could turn lost into found, he could turn wine into water. Or was it the other way around? Yes, Harry would have done it. Harry was my pal, but Harry's gone fishing in the Paradise Canal. To see that pile of rubble with the barbed wire all around, that used to be our local, now it's the battleground. He said, I've lived my life here in this godforsaken street. That pub was our one bit of hope, that's where we used to meet. Now they want to build an office block for the car park there as well. A tarty supermarket, I hope they rot in hell. They say it will improve the place, well it won't do much for me. What I need is a bit of beach and the salt wind from the sea. And he said Harry could have done it, because he'd have made it turn out right. He could turn the lowly into fighters and the mighty into flight. He could turn saints into sinners, he could turn ashes into sparks, and he could turn the tables on the bankers and the sharks. Yes, Harry could have done it. Harry was my pal, but Harry's gone fishing in the Paradise Canal. They say it will improve the place, but nobody asks me. What I want is a bit of beach and the sunlight on the sea. A lovely stretch of sand where me and all my mates can meet. A gentle waves to paddle in and wash our tired feet. Then we'll stretch out on our deck chairs, let the sunshine soothe our pain, and we'll make the high and mighty sound service winkles and champagne. It isn't very much to ask, I'll be a long time dead. Do you think you could arrange that? I laughed and shook my head. And he said Harry could have done it, because he was always on our side. He could turn John and Janet into Bonnie and Clyde. He could turn Sherlock into Wynot. He could turn his into seams. He could turn armies into forests, darkness into dreams, and it would turn him onto fire when it was Harry's turn to speak. But one thing he would never do is turn the other cheek. So I left him in that silent street, an old man lost in space, his wild-eyed delusions dancing on his risen face. And I walked on through that city with its temples made of brass, and a great crowd swept towards me, and they would not let me pass. The hungry and the homeless, downtrodden and distressed, a wretched ragged rabble, the outcasts and oppressed, the unwashed and the unwanted, on whom the sun has never shone. And the banners they were waving said, Harry lives on. And they sang, Harry's gone fishing, but he'll turn up by and by when the salmon sun rises on a bright morning sky. Then he'll turn Shamrock into Wynot, he'll turn his into seams, he'll turn armies into forests, and darkness into dreams, and he'll turn saints into sinners, he'll turn ashes into sparks, and he will turn the tables on the bankers and the sharks. He'll turn frowns into laughter, and lost into found. He'll turn wine into water, or else the other way around. And the rich shall wear the sun, and the poor shall wear the crown, when Harry rises up and turns the world upside down. Yes, Harry could have done it. Harry was my pal. Harry's gone fishing in the Paradise Canal. When I first started this songwriting journey, I made an EP for Topic called Songs for City Squares, for Song of Me. And a review in a music magazine said that I could ripen it into a British Brassens. Does that mean anything to anybody? Nobody? Georges Brassens, yes, right. Well, actually, at the time, I didn't know very much about Brassens, but I thought I ought to find out who I was being compared with. In fact, it's not a very good comparison, but I went and bought his, some of his recordings, and I bought a book of his lyrics, in which I was informed in the introduction that some people considered his songs an affront to decency and common sense, and that endeared him to me immediately. And I went to see him a few times at Bobino's in Paris. He was a most understated performer. I don't think he really wanted to perform. He wrote these beautifully crafted songs, anarchist tinge, humorous, poetic, some of them sad songs. He would just stand, unlike Brel, who threw himself into the songs and became the characters he'd invented. Brassens just stood there with one foot on a chair. Sang song after song without, as far as I remember, ever saying anything to the audience. And a couple of years ago I went to Sète. Sète is where he was born. It's a fishing port in the south of France. And it's where he's buried also, but not on the beach, as he had requested in a song. He wanted to be buried on the beach so he could spend eternity on holiday. Seemed like a good idea, but boringly they buried him in the cemetery. And they have their L'Espace Georges Brassens, which is a whole building devoted to the songs and the life and everything he ever doodled, his family, all the radio interviews and the television appearances and so on. All this for a songwriter, for a guy with a moustache and a pipe who set words to a tune. Amazing. The head was full of cotton, the pen was full of bile. It was one of those days when everything's grey and nothing seems worthwhile. The radio played the sort of crap that music hacks acclaim. I don't know why they call them songs they don't deserve the name, and so I vowed I'd never write another song. When something weird occurred, and out of the dusty air a ghostly ship appeared, and I heard myself exclaiming, "Mon Dieu, zut alors, et mince! I know that pipe and that moustache is the ghost of Georges Brassens. I know that pipe and that moustache is the ghost of Georges Brassens." I said, "Georges, what are you doing here? I've seen your grave inset." He said, "I've come to tell you that you shouldn't give up yet. It's all very well for you, Georges. Your songs brought you fame, you sold a multitude of records, and all thrusting your name," he said, "until the age of 31. I never earned a cent. I remember the very first check I got, I didn't know what it meant. I never wrote for money, and I never wanted fame. And then my songs have never earned a sou, and I've written them just the same. My songs have never earned a sou, and I've written them just the same." You know, for me to be in the public eye was always an ordeal. The trappings of celebrity, but me had no appeal, my needs were few. For years I lived on little more than bread and cheese. In a world of fame and fashion, I could not feel at ease. This lust for money and possessions hasn't done the world much good. For myself, I always tried to earn as little as I could. Friendship, nick or pound, that's what mattered in the end. The thing that I'm most proud of is I never lost a friend. The thing that I'm most proud of is I never lost a friend. The thing is, Your Honours, I said to something, songs are sometimes caused offence to Christians, royally silence, coppers and others too numerous to list. Hair nor me shrunk, some critics call my songs debased, unpatriotic, sad, religious, and inexorable taste. They didn't like the way my songs debunked authority, the law, the church, the military, a lush and armory. And in my life I wrote my songs the way I wanted to. And if les braves disapproved, I told them je m'en fous. And if les braves disapproved, I told them je m'en fous. For me, song has a value that money cannot buy. For songs have been my passion, the summation of my life. The songs that I created were a gift that I could share, and I would not cheat the public, so I crafted them with care. I chose the best and brightest words and taught them how to dance. I tried out many tunes to find the one that would enhance the words. I laboured long and hard to polish, shape, refine every rhyme and every stanza, every bar and every line. By the way, that tune you're singing sounds like one of mine. I died too soon with many songs unborn, and that's my one regret. Remember that, he said, and now I must return to set. Merci, I said, it's always good communing with the dead. And the lyrics of this song began revolving in my head. The lyrics of this song began revolving in my head. And this is the curious triple relationship about the centre of which is a very soulful poet. Picture, if you will, the poet seated at his writing table, catching butterflies of beauty in his silken net of words, musing on love's fleeting raptures and the long lost hopes of boyhood and the terrors of time passing like the beating wings of birds. Enter now the stoutish woman, once his muse and then his mistress, now his wife who, let's admit it, ministers to all his needs, pours for him his glass of cognac, not a word between them spoken, his thoughts soar free as the skyline, while she cooks and cleans and feeds. Into this domestic order, introduce a woolly monkey, for which the poet buys when tipsy, as a present for his wife. It will keep her company while he drinks piano at the cafe, and laments with an artist the soullessness of modern life. She rejects the woolly monkey, he by contrast finds it charming, teaches it domestic duties, smiles to see its winning ways. Picture now the poet's triumph when the monkey one fine evening pours for him his glass of cognac, well deserved the poet's praise. Enter then the stoutest woman, sees the monkey pour the cognac, sees the poet, points a pistol, shoots the monkey in the head. And this, I swear, is how it happened, looping still one crucial question: why destroy the harmless monkey? Should have shot the man instead. Terrible the poet's anger, wife departs to run the cafe, leaves the poet deep in mourning, will not speak to anyone, writes a poem for the monkey and declaims it at the graveside. All the mourners weep to hear it, finest work he's ever done. sitting at his writing table, pours himself another cognac, searching for the inner light. Muzzily he muses sadly on the fickleness of women and the monkey's tragic fate, why he can no longer write. I don't know if there's anybody who knows about William Morris. Most people know that he was kind of arts and craftsman because he didn't like the ugliness of capitalist Victorian society. He did make beautiful things. He was a poet, also a painter, and a pattern designer, and also a designer of very expensive wallpaper. You probably have some, kitchen walls. What was interesting about him was that he made connections between art and politics, if you like. He made connections with his love of beautiful things and his belief that work does not have to be drudgery, led him to make connections which turned him into a socialist, a communist, a revolutionary. At the end, the latter decades of the 19th century. And he wrote a book about 1890. About 1890, called Bringing the News, called News from Nowhere, which is a story of a communist utopia, which came into fruition after a violent revolution. And he placed it about 100 years after he'd written the book, so it makes it 1990, and we're still waiting. However, I think what I like about him is his belief that you need to have a vision. It is no use no use lambasting the evils of capitalism if you don't have a vision of something better, and that's what he tried to describe in this book. So this is called Bringing the News from Nowhere. This is the last one of the first set. It's got a chorus. Some bring the news in a sermon on the mountain. Some bring the news in a blueprint or a bulletin, but I like those who come with a passion or a vision, like a child with a gift, like a friend with a question. William Morris was one, in a story, in a song, in the patterns that he wove, in the colours that he loved, in the hope that he gave, he brought the news from nowhere. In my mind's eye, I can see him still standing with his grey beard waving like the foam of the sea, with his shaggy hair shaking and his clear eyes shining as he tells all who listen how different life could be. And he rages at the wealthy with their mutilated vision, making money the measure for everything they do, and the ugliness that kills, and the lives that are broken on the wheels that turn for the profits of the few. And some bring the news in a sermon on the mountain, and some bring the news in a blueprint or a bulletin, but I like those who come with a passion or a vision, like a child with a gift, like a friend with a question. William Morris was one, in a story and a song, in the patterns that he wove, in the colours that he loved, in the hope that he gave, he brought the news from nowhere. So he turned from his class and he made the lonely journey through the river of fire. When he reached the other side, he joined the ones who had nothing, the poor and the hungry, and their cause was his till the day that he died. For he saw that in them the spark lay hid, and he saw that in them a hope still burned for the great change coming, when the shoddy rule of mammon would be shattered like a hull that the storm has overturned. And some bring the news in a sermon on the mountain, some bring the news in a blueprint or a bulletin, but I like those who come with the passion of a vision, like a child with a gift, like a friend with a question. William Morris was one, in a story and a song, in the patterns that he wove, in the colours that he loved, in the hope that he gave, he brought the news from nowhere. When our desires are freed, he said, there'll be no schools or prisons, no parliaments or leaders to coerce us with their laws, no property, no money to raise false divisions, and there can be an end to the endlessness of wars. And work will be a sharing, and work will be a pleasure, when the things we make are born out of beauty and of need. In a world made whole, he said, we all can be creators, not winners and losers, in a game of grab and greed. And some bring the news in a sermon on the mountain, some bring the news in a blueprint or a bulletin, and I like those who come with a passion of a vision, like a child with a gift, like a friend with a question. William Morris was one, in a story and a song, in the patterns that he wove, in the colours that he loved, in the hope that he gave, he brought the news from nowhere. He took delight and he looks with eyes of wonder at the skin and the body and the beauty of the earth. We must cherish the fields and the woods and the rivers, for if we defile our home, he said, well, then will life be worth? And some there were who said he was just another dreamer, but his dream danced on. Though the years turned to stone and his dream shimmered still, like the sunlight in winter. The dream is the door to a world unknown. So honour to the man, and honour to the dreamer, and to all the men and women the history books ignore, who would not turn aside for the bribes and the clamour, but held to the hope in the vision that they saw. Some bring the news in a sermon on the mountain, some bring the news in a blueprint or a bulletin, but I like those who come with the passion of a vision, like a child with a gift, like a friend with a question. William Morris was one, in a story and a song, in the patterns that he wove, in the colours that he loved, in the hope that he gave, he brought the news